Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Defining Discipline podcast. I'm your host, Scott. Defining Discipline is a lifestyle, a mentality, and a brand. And within this podcast, we're going to focus on self-improvement as you follow along with me on my journey. We'll also hear from special guests of all walks of life on this podcast and their remarkable journeys that led them to where they are today. Today is day 186 of my journey. At the beginning of the year, I challenged myself to run 365 days out of the year this year in a row, all outside, bearing the elements, whatever they may bring. I also challenged myself to run 1,500 miles within this time frame. This being my second year ever running, within the first year, in 2020, I was able to run 1,002 miles, and I did that within 175 days out of that year. So these challenges will be a 100% step up in the amount of days I'm out there, not to mention in a row, as well as a 50% step up in the amount of miles I'm trying to go for, as opposed to last year's miles and days. I also challenged myself within this year to run two big major races, one being a 50K trail race that I was able to finish on June 5th. It was in Yankee Springs, Michigan. I got that done in 7 hours, 15 minutes, and 22 seconds, so I'm officially an ultra runner. And the even bigger feat was being able to get out there the following day and continue this run streak, continue every day ever since. It's been about 30 days, I think exactly. I think I ran that on day 156, and we are now on day 186. So that was a feat within itself. I also challenged myself to run the Detroit Free Press Marathon, the Motor City Challenge version, which entails doing the 1 mile run as well as the 5K, and then the following day running the actual marathon. That is in October. I am actually really looking forward to that as well. Do also plan on signing up for maybe another 50K and a 50 miler, but those will be races in 2022, and when the time comes to talk about those, we will talk about those. So other than that, we've kind of talked about that a little bit. Let's kind of get into actual mileage for the day, week, month, and the year. So for daily mileage, guys, today, day 186, July 5th, 2021, I was able to get out there and put in 4.7 miles for the day. That put me at 4.7 miles for the week, since it being Monday. Which put me at 30.5 miles for the month. That put me at 831.5 miles for the year. Now, let's focus real quickly on these monthly miles. Every single month, guys, I challenge myself to a 100-mile challenge in which I donate money to a charity that I'm running these miles for. I also start a coinciding fundraiser in honor of that charity where you can donate money, and we're doing it also just to try to raise awareness for that charity. So if you'd like to donate to this month's charity and learn a little bit about this month's charity, this month's charity is for the month of July, 100-mile challenge, and it is in honor of the Detroit Phoenix Center. And what they focus on is they focus on helping the youth homeless within the Detroit area, find shelter, get an education, find jobs, help with their hygiene needs and all that stuff, and try to get them, find them a stable place to live while trying to get them back on their feet. I think it focuses on anyone between the ages 13 to 26, 27 maybe. So that is the fundraiser we are raising money for here in the month of July. Like I said, we do these fundraisers every single month. So for the first 6 months, we raised money for 6 great charities. Now we're raising money again for this month's charity, which is Detroit Phoenix Center. You can find the link to donate to this month's charity on the Defining Discipline Instagram story or the Defining Discipline Facebook story, or my personal page's Instagram story or my personal page's Facebook story. Whichever one within the stories at the top of the page or on the top of the story, it'll say donate on Facebook. You click on that, it'll open up the Facebook page where you're able to make your donations. All donations that get made to this fundraiser goes directly to this fundraiser. No donations that get made no portion of the donations that get made go to Facebook. Every single percentage goes to this fundraiser. That's why we continue to do it through Facebook, because Facebook has made that agreement not to take any cut of the fundraiser. So other than that, though, guys, I do know times are tough. Not everyone can donate. One thing you can do, though, if you really, truly would like to help out, it helps out a lot, is just click that share button. Because, again, the main thing we're also trying to do throughout these months is not just raise money for these charities, but to raise awareness. And the best thing you can do is click that share button, put it on your page, even put it on your story. It'll disappear within 24 hours. People won't even have to see it again. Let's just try to get the awareness of these fundraisers out there every single month, and try to raise awareness for them. And maybe within the awareness, we can raise money for them as well. So we've kind of focused on the monthly miles. We've talked about the charity. We've talked about the challenges. One challenge that I have not talked about yet, I've kind of brought it up these past few episodes, the past few weeks, was at the beginning of the year. I challenged myself to really try to start becoming a better reader, read more by reading 30 minutes a day, expand my vocabulary, become a better speaker, and just try to become smarter, because I don't do enough reading, and a lot of the stuff I do is just watching TV and wasting time. So I really wanted to put my mind to the test by trying to read. And my problem with reading is I can read a lot of things, but I'll read through it and then not really obtain what I'm reading. I just read to read and not really grasp what I'm reading. I'll just read and then I'll be through like 4 pages and be like, I don't even remember what I just read. I just read words, but I wasn't really like absorbing them. So that was my goal, was to read 30 minutes a day. I kind of really fell off of it right at the beginning of the year and just focused on the running challenges. So now I've been wanting to talk about it every single day, trying to just get myself back into the reading, as well as I've challenged myself to talk about a word of the day. So the reading I was unable to do yet again. I still have yet to start the second chapter, second rule in the book I am reading, which is Beyond Order. It is the second book in Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life series. I read his first book, 12 Rules for Life, last year. Great book. Now I'm trying to finish this book and read it, but I am still kind of stuck these last few days. I made it a point to really, at the beginning of this month, be on the start the second chapter and to get done with the first rule and first chapter, and I did that, but now I have yet to actually start the second chapter. It's been, I think, 4 or 5 days now that I have not been able to read, or I've been able to. I've had a little bit of time here and there, just haven't really picked it up and focused my time somewhere else, which is the main thing I'm trying to not do. So I'm going to be honest and not lie about me reading. I have not read yesterday or today yet, and would really like to, hopefully tonight. Probably don't see it happening. Would like to maybe tomorrow morning with coffee. That's when I usually find my reading to get done. So other than that, we will talk about the word of the day real quickly. So the word of the day is quandrum, and that is former sometime. It just means it's another word for former. Quandrum. Quondam. Quandum. Oh, quandum. Sorry. Quandrum. Quandum. Not quandrum. Quandum. All right. So that is the word of the day. Quandum. All right. So for episode 186, today's theme is going to be standards. And I want to talk about standards in kind of 2 aspects. One, the standards that we set for other people, and 2, the standards that we set for ourselves. Because I think those are 2 very, very different things. This is coming from experience, and what I am trying to do is trying to balance these 2 different standards and combine them into one standard, that not only that I set for others, but standards that I should also set for myself, that I think we should all follow. Let me kind of break this down a little bit more into detail, what I mean by that. Now, what I mean by that to be more precise, is I truly believe, and this is coming from experience from myself, is that we set standards for other people that we ourselves can't even obtain. And I know this because I'm guilty of it. I set so many standards for people within my life and people outside of my life and strangers, whatever the case may be. I set standards for everyone. And a lot of the times, they're standards that I myself can't even meet. And, trying to really break it down and really think about it and understand the psychology of why I do that. But really thinking about it, I think it's something that we all do. As the human race, I think it's something that we all do, and why we do it, it's kind of hard to really understand, and I don't understand it. I don't truly know why. I have, some speculations why we may do it. Maybe it's blinders that we put on to make ourselves feel better, I guess, necessarily, that we can't do it. We hold other people up to these standards that they're not meeting, so the fact that we don't meet it, maybe we feel better about ourselves. I don't know. Like I said, I necessarily don't know. I don't necessarily know the psychology behind why we do it, but it's something I find that we do. Now, to kind of flip it real quickly and talk about it on the other aspect of it, is the standards that we set for ourselves. Now, for the longest time, I didn't have many standards. I didn't set many standards. I was kind of a wild guy, and when you don't have standards, you can get very lost. You don't not even just lost. You can be things can be very dangerous at times too. So I had to figure out ways to kind of start setting standards for myself, and over these past 2 years, one way of doing that was really setting the standard of getting out there and really changing my mentality and really changing my habits and my exercise routine and just change and setting these standards for myself. And it didn't have to be crazy standards, just minor standards of, the mentality change of just getting out there and trying to make the most of every day and getting out there and exercising. At first started off with just like 3 times a week. It didn't have to be every day, but just setting these minor little standards for myself. And when I started setting even these small standards and meeting these standards, I was able to continue to push the standards higher and higher and higher and start setting myself for higher standards and holding myself to these higher standards. And that doesn't just go across for just exercise and all that. It goes across my whole entire life of doing, talking about this episode of me really trying to become a better person. It starts by holding myself to these standards and really trying to follow through and become a better person and hold myself accountable. So now trying to figure out how to really conjoin the two of the standards that I hold myself to and the standards I hold other people to, and realizing that they're kind of on 2 different levels. Sometimes I hold myself to standards that I don't hold other people to, and I hold other people to standards that I can't hold myself to. So one thing to do is when I'm looking for standards, when I think there's things that I may need to try to hold myself to, I need to hold myself to a higher standard. What's this? When I'm searching for more standards to hold myself to, I need to realize I need to maybe start looking towards the other things that I'm holding other people to. So when I'm holding for instance, my wife to a standard, or my mom to a standard, or my friends to standards. Whatever standard I'm holding them to, maybe I need to look at that and be like, well, maybe I need to really start holding myself to that standard. And once I'm able to hold myself to that standard, maybe that is when I can open up and start to be able to hold that other person to that standard as well, and not use it as an excuse to hold that person necessarily to that standard, but to maybe use it as experience to really understand that person maybe a little bit more, and to understand that maybe the standard isn't as unattainable, maybe to kind of really validate your opinion that it's not unattainable, that it's achievable, because you have also set yourself to that standard and you are holding yourself to that standard. And you also holding yourself to that standard that you want other people to hold themselves to, or hold themselves to. If you are holding yourself to that standard, you are leading by example as well, which will also help that other person easily fall into and try to follow that standard as well. So we're talking about a lot of standards here right now. I really wanted to get into this because I think it's one of our biggest problems today, especially with a lot of the political discourse that we're holding, not even just political, but just the discourse within the world today, especially a lot of the discourse, I guess I should say, on social media, people arguing and this and that, and there's always some kind of problem someone has with someone else, and I think it just really is that we're always holding other people up to such high standards when there's other standards that we're not even holding ourselves up to, that are just basic everyday need standards and stuff like that. So I think that's something that we really, really need to focus on, is really holding ourselves accountable before we hold those other people to the standards. And once we really start holding ourselves accountable to the standards that we want other people to be held to, when we start leading by example, I think that will help also the other people shift and start following the standards that you have led them to follow, by leading them by example, not by trying to push them or force them, or just holding them to that standard in general. If you do the standard, it's easier to, I guess the saying is, you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make it drink. But if you never lead the horse to water, it can't drink, is, I guess, the other point. If it never gets to the water, it's not going to drink. But you can at least lead it to the water. If it drinks, great. If it doesn't, then you did your part. You led it to the water. So let's lead by example, and let's follow the standards that we are holding other people to. And that is actually your daily discipline for the day. It is to think of some of these standards that you are holding other people to, that you are not even holding yourself to within your own life. And for your daily discipline today, it is to start holding yourself accountable and start holding yourself to those standards that you are holding those other people to. That is your daily discipline for the day today, day 186. Now, other than that, guys, I want to thank you so much for following along and listening. This is the Defining Discipline podcast. I am your host, Scott. If you guys can, please give the podcast a like, a subscribe, a follow, and a share on our Instagram, our Facebook, our YouTube, our TikTok, and whatever podcast streaming platform you guys have been listening along on. If you guys can also, please go out there and make sure you guys click that share button on the Facebook and Instagram story for the July 100-mile challenge fundraiser in honor of the Detroit Phoenix Center. If you guys can, make sure you get your donations in as well. Click that share button. Other than that, thanks so much. I will see you guys tomorrow for episode 187. It's been a great journey, and that's pretty much it. Again, lastly, I am your host, Scott. This is the Defining Discipline podcast. Make sure you guys get out there, get your daily discipline done for the day, and stay disciplined. I'll see you guys tomorrow for 187. Peace out.